Hello, you. And welcome to takTalks, a place where I, Takaya Honda, get to chat to actors about their lives, about growing up, about their acting, the work they've done, really anything, because there's no rules on takTalks. We do whatever we want. Well, I do whatever I want, and well, the guests can do whatever they want too, except leave, because that would be awkward. No, I try not to do anything that would make them leave. But you're not here to listen to me ramble on. You're here to listen to the main man himself, the absolute legend, the big dog, as Link Lewis would call everyone. Jordan Rodriguez! Yay!
Yay!
Gotta do I call this the Asian clap. I feel like I watched a lot of Terrace House and they do this a lot. I like it. How you doing, man?
Yay, Jordan!
Yay,
Oh,
Jordan!
man, I'm so...
That's what everyone at home's doing. They're all clapping away.
That's awesome. Yeah, how are you?
I'm not bad. I mean, it's early morning for me, and you've made me have a beer with you, so...
I didn't make you. I can't force you to do it.
Yeah.
I just said old times,
Yeah.
and you said, all right,
Look,
like old times.
it was...
But everybody now knows you're an alcoholic, so it's fine.
Look, I told you before we started, cheers, that I wouldn't do any gotcha moments, but now the game's changed. It's
I like it. Keeps it interesting.
I spilled it on
good.
myself, so now I really do look like an alcoholic.
Wow. Frothy. I don't know what that brand is, but
Oh, look, Amy.
shout out to them.
Amy used to work for Carlton United Breweries. Amy being my fiance for everyone at home, and so we would get heaps of free alcohols. This is one of free alcohols. It's not bad. It's pretty standard beer.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Congratulations, by the way, to you two.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, we're meant to be getting married in September, and at the moment, we don't know whether we will be, but we'll see what
Right.
happens. It's looking like in Australia we will be able to by then, but you don't know whether a second wave's going to come through and that kind of thing, so we'll wait and see. But it's exciting. She said yes, and that was, the good
That's
bit.
the first step.
The first step, and then at the end of the day, the wedding's not or marriage isn't about the wedding. It's it's about being together, etc., etc. Let's not get into
Yeah.
that anyway.
Yeah.
What are you
Love
getting on
that.
the knee, huh? Is that a no? I won't say that.
Wow, it's just straightforward, eh?
No.
Man.
Yeah. What? You're over in LA, which is why we're doing it at this strange time for everyone at home. Well, strange time for anyone who's been watching these regularly. What's it like over there? I imagine the vibe's quite different because in Australia it's relatively relaxed.
Yes, I was just on the phone to one of my friends, and we about like how our parents are doing back in Australia. She's over here as well, but our parents are back in Sydney, and
Charlotte, or who's that?
it was Isabel Duran.
Ah, yeah, cool.
And it's a very different vibe. Like, it's very strict over here. There was some point where America sort of took over the death poll, so that was a very scary moment, and taking it very serious. And we have been in quarantine for about just over 2 months now, taking it very seriously, trying to stay indoors as much as possible. Like, everyone's wearing masks outside. Nobody's taking much risk. But then when I call my parents, they're taking it seriously, but they're also very relaxed about it. We had a big chat yesterday, and they were just sort of like, yeah, so we got to get going. We have some friends coming over later for dinner. I was like, oh, that sounds nice, having friends just pop by. But I worry about them because they're a lot older, and especially for my mum because she's a retired nurse in like theater surgery.
Yep.
And so they've asked all retired nurses to come back because they're understaffed, and she works at a private hospital, but the risk is still kind of there, and I worry, especially when she doesn't worry. I kind of worry for her.
Yeah. Someone's got to do the worrying somewhere. And,
Yeah,
it's probably better that it's
exactly.
you than her in the hospital, maybe. But and shout out to all the nurses and doctors and everyone on the front lines because these are scary times to be in that situation. Yeah. Cheers to that. Yeah, were you filming or anything when 2 months ago, or were you just in between, like waiting for stuff to happen at the moment?
Yeah, no, I was just in the thick of pilot season.
Yeah.
Lots of auditions. So just trying to get the next job on its feet. So, and there was nothing really in the pipeline. I did an anime film, and it was Mortal Kombat, the animation, and we were about to do a big sort of press tour, go to like some Comic Cons and stuff like that, do some panels.
Yeah.
And for me, sorry,
The beer's getting to him.
yeah, it's the beer. My bad. Apologies, everyone. The day was for me was when my agent sort of called me up and was just like, so X, Y, and Z have been cancelled or postponed. I was meant to do a few like table reads and stuff, and everything just got cancelled in the one day. I was like, oh shit, like this is serious. Like we're like gonna go into lockdown soon. So I was a bit disappointed because, you know, I've never been to a Comic Con. I've never done any like conventions like that, and I was really excited about it. But, you know, shit happens.
Yeah.
And we just got to sort of roll with it. I was actually sort of like, you know, a lot of pilots got casted, and a lot of my friends booked some pilots for the first time ever. And I think they got upset like in a week later, it just got cancelled or it got postponed. So I can't imagine what that feeling's like. I think it's similar to going up a roller coaster and you get to the top of the roller coaster, you're about to go on the ride, like do the fun part, and it just stops.
Yeah, which is like it's like, but it's a classic actor thing too. Like, how often do people do pilots that don't ever get seen? You know, and it's that thing of like, my mate was a lead in a HBO thing made by the guy who did 6 Feet Under and True Blood, and it was his next series. And it was also being produced by Elton John. He was playing like he was jamming because he was playing like Mozart type character as a period thing, and he was jamming in London where they were shooting with Elton John. They had two grands next to each other, and he showed me these emails from showing around stuff saying from HBO saying how, like, you know, we trusted you on 2 and they did really well, so it's likely to go to 3rd. And then he was on like hold for like, they shot the pilot and then was on hold for like a year, and then it just didn't go anywhere. And the difference between that being picked up and going to series compared to not is like, and he's doing well now too. Like he's an amazing actor, so he's going to do well. But it's just the tiniest things can make such a big difference, and we have no control over that, which is, it's crazy for us.
Absolutely, dude. Like, you bring up a good point. Like, in this industry, like, we're used to wanting control and wanting to, you know, I think we're sort of trained in a certain way from school. If you do well and you put in the hard work, you will see a payoff. You will see results, you know. But in acting, you could be one of the best actors and never work, you know. You could book 10 pilots and none of them go to series, and no one sees those pilots. You can say you're on those sets, and I guess you can kind of put them on your resume, but no one's actually going to see you do your work, you know, do what you love. And that can be very disheartening, but it's all about the right time, right place. And I just think some people have just like got some unlucky hands dealt.
Yeah, which can happen in more than just your career too. So I mean, if the unluckiest part of your hand is that your part didn't get picked up, you're still doing pretty well probably at the end of the day compared to a lot of people around the world. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never booked a pilot.
Have you always gone straight to series, or just been?
I've either gone straight to series, or I've done a bunch of tests. Like, for anybody that doesn't know what testing is, it's basically the final audition where you sign a contract saying, if I book this role, I'm signing my life away for the next like 7 years potentially to do a 7-series job. And you are signing the dotted line, and if you get it, then there goes, you know, a year to 7 years. But if you sign it and you don't get it, like that could sort of X out different jobs, other potential opportunities. So it's a weird thing.
The crazy
It's a
thing about
weird thing
that, which blows my mind too, is that on that contract you're seeing potentially how much you could earn in that period, which for actors who aren't working, who are going eating, packets of meagering, to go and like that. I haven't had to do that yet over in the US. Like, do you try to ignore that when you look at that, like, or and not let it affect you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's hard to ignore. It's hard not to. I mean, even after the first callback, it's hard not to imagine what your life is going to be like if you book this job. You know what I mean? It's hard not to imagine like, oh, it shoots in Vancouver. I might be living in Vancouver for a year or two. It's hard not to imagine those things. But I mean, on the other side of that, you have to ignore it. Like, you really have to ignore it. You have to just take it one step at a time, one audition at a time, and just do your absolute best in each step. I think if you lose sight of like what's right in front of you and you're thinking too far ahead, it'll distract you. It'll hinder you.
Mm. How do you find auditioning? Are you comfortable in that space, or do you hate it? What do you like?
I like the pressure of it. Some people prefer self-taping at home where they have control over what they show them. But me personally, I like being in the room. I like sort of getting a feel for the casting director, the producers, whatever. Because, and this I think is one of the main things that actors need to be thinking about when they are auditioning, is to be able to be fluid. You can't go in there with a solid piece of work. You have to go in there with what you think the character and the scene is asking of you. But you also have to be able to drop everything and do what the director says or what the casting director wants and go that way and go there 100%. So in terms of like auditioning, I like being in the room because I feel like one of my strongest ability as an actor is to just say jump, then say jump, and you say how high, basically. I like that sort of interaction.
You like being directed in that way.
Yes. I like someone being like, you should go there, and me just run there. With self-tapes, it's kind of like, that's what I think should be the scene, and sometimes the casting directors never reply because they don't have to. You're not in the room with them. It's not awkward for them.
Yeah, they're getting 200 self-tapes in, and they can't give notes on the 200, It's easy when you're in the room. They have to do it.
Right.
That's where they
Which is kind of an interesting thing right now, because I don't see anybody doing auditions in the room for the near future, which means actors are going to have to get really good at self-taping. And I think they're going to have to get really good at directing themselves and trying new things and thinking outside of what they think the scene is, and what you're just really trying to see all the dimensions of the scene and the character.
Yeah, I think this could be an interesting time where it could force a little bit of a shift in the audition process, because one of the things I think, going in the room, I don't mind going in the room, but the actual process of it as an audition for being able to do the job is kind of weird, because in no way it's not a similar to experience to being in set, not really, and it's not obviously the same experience as whatever the character's going through, especially in Australia, because I mean in America, my interpretation is you're allowed to move around in the audition a bit more, whereas in Australia you stand on the X, mostly because they've only lit that one spot and they don't want to have to move the camera and read the lines for the other person you're talking to, etc., which all makes sense. But as the actor going in as a test for whether you can do the job, it's not actually the job in a lot of ways. I mean, it's a major part. It's become a major part of the job because you don't get the work unless you can do that part. And I don't know whether, because now they're gonna have to do a whole lot more self-testing, they're gonna have to start figuring out a way where they can try to be in that space more with actors, and maybe that'll lead to a better experience for actors on a whole. Because, like you said, there's this element of luck to the people that I know of, amazing actors who haven't worked much, or whether that's just that audition space is just something that they can't work in, and potentially we're missing out on seeing incredible performances because of that space, rather than really seeing what they are capable of on set. I don't know, it is the same, but I think there's a lot more barriers in the way to a great performance in an audition than there is on set or stage or wherever it is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that like there's an art to what you're saying is like there's an art to auditioning and there's an art to being on set. They're two completely different things, and some people are great at auditioning and great at booking, but terrible at being on set. And then there's people that are great on set, that really flourish on set, but can't audition to save their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's tricky. It's a tricky thing.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to when you were little Jordan. When you started off getting the stage role on Lion King as young Simba, you're one of 4 kids or something doing the young Simba role.
Yeah.
And you did that 2.5 years.
Yeah, about that, or 2.5, 3 years.
And was that the first professional audition you had done?
Yeah, I would say just before that, I auditioned for Oliver, the stage musical, and that's that was very heavy, choreography and all that stuff, and I was completely out of my depth considering I've never taken a dance class ever. Siri is
having a chat,
apparently listening to it. Yeah. And then Lion King was more so singing heavy, and I think I had a bit more of a natural singing voice. So Lion King was my second.
Had you been doing any
professional
training up until that point, in terms of acting or performance or singing? Or
not really. I think I did a bit of tap when I was maybe when I was 5, but I was the only guy in there. It was very discouraging. I was horrible at it. And that was about it. But I would sing and dance around the house all the time. You know, I was just, I would sing, dance, and act at home. It was just like what I did. So that's why my parents were like, "Hey, you should do this. You can make money."
So did they find the audition notice or whatever? How'd that come about?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they found it in the newspaper.
And had you said, "I want to perform," or were you just so performative that they were like, "We should make him perform"?
Yeah, that one. They just were like, "You can do what you're doing at home, but you can make money doing it." And I was like, "What? That sounds fun." And yeah, Lion King was just a really super cool, special one because it was like my favorite Disney film growing up, and Simba was my favorite character. So it just sort of seemed right. And but you know, obviously as a young child, like money was everything, and then you get on set and you're like, wow, I actually just love performing. You know, I love singing and dancing and playing pretend and pretending to be a lion. It's great.
And can you remember, was that audition, were you really nervous at that point, or were you just having fun with it?
I think I was having fun.
Did you have to do weird walk around like a lion acting or something? What was that audition like? Can you remember?
Well, my first audition was just singing. They had the lyrics up on the board, and it was "Just Can't Wait to Be King." Had the lyrics up there. They taught us a song. We were in a line. There was probably I don't know, about 3,000 kids waiting outside or something like that. Then we go in, I think about 10 or 8 people at a time, boys and girls auditioning for Simba and Nala, and we would all one at a time have to sing "Just Can't Wait to Be King." And I was just like, I was just gonna sing it. But then I saw this girl who ended up booking Nala, and she gave it some pizzazz, She's like, she gave it energy. I was like, whoa, I got to do it like her. And it was her first, and then a couple of people who were just singing it. And then it got to me. I was like, I just went for it. I just kind of started singing, and they're just like, whoa, Jordan, you're so amazing. But yeah, I think honestly, if I had just sung it, without giving it like attitude, energy, and all that stuff, I probably wouldn't have booked that at all. No.
Yeah, but the lucky bit was that girl, right? If she wasn't there, then like you'd have just maybe blended into the background, and we might not be having this chat. Like, how crazy is that?
Absolutely, it's crazy because we ended up being Simba and Nala together in the actual show. Uh, but yeah, that was actually a really interesting process because my first real audition, apart from Oliver, but I got to the final round about 4 or 5 auditions later. Got to the final round. I got to Cub School, which is what they call it, and I didn't get it. I cried. I cried my eyes out because I really wanted that job. Well, and it was also the first time I was rejected.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, it was the first time I was 10, by the way. First time feeling rejection for the first time, and I just cried. Because I wasn't, like, you feel these emotions, you're not good enough, blah, blah, blah. All these things start getting triggered. But then few months down the line, I think they restarted the audition process again. I was like, what? They called me back. I went through another 5 auditions, got to the end, and booked it.
Wow. So was that?
Wow.
Wow. That sounded really disingenuous, but it wasn't meant to be.
I know. It sounded funny.
No, but did that mean you came in, like, did they start off with some, like, a set of 4 and then, like, because people might not know, like, a lot of time with kids and musicals, they'll rotate them out and have, so were you a second wave, or did they actually hold off the musical for a while and then re-kickstart the whole audition process?
I think they cast one Simba, or like 2 Simbas or something. One of them like hurt themselves, like got injured, so they had to recast. Then they recast 3 Simbas, and then and it's like 3 Simbas, 3 Nalas. Cool, you guys got the job. And then they realize that they need to rotate even more, so they cast a 4th Simba. Right. So I would technically do only 2 shows a week, but I also do 2 swings a week as well. So 4 days all up a week.
Which is a decent amount when you're 10.
Yeah.
It's a fair bit of work. At that point, did you think you were a good actor? Like, were you like, I know what I'm doing, and I'm like, did you even have that thought of like...
Nah.
Because I guess you didn't really go into it thinking, I want to be an actor. You just like, I like performance, and then this opportunities come, and then let's do it.
That's exactly what it was. I didn't really compare myself to the other Simbas. I was just like, this is fun. I enjoy doing this. I like performing. But at no point was I like, wow, I'm really good at this. Like, I think I should make a career out of this. I never thought that once. I was too young.
Yeah.
I didn't know what work was. I didn't know what the job was. Like, I knew I got paid for it, but I didn't know what the future was going to be.
And what was the bit about the performing that drew you to it? Was it the audience and seeing them experience what you're doing, the applause? Was it just becoming something, in this case, something else? Was it working with the other actors and being a part of that community, that, the sort of brotherhood in the male sense? But yeah.
I think it's all of the above. It's like the excitement of just about to go on stage, but the excitement of you're a part of something and that it's an ensemble thing. It's not just about you. Every show is different. Every show is exciting. It was just a very exhilarating experience. And, the applause at the end is nice too, but that's all like whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was honestly just being able to be a part of a story, like be part of storytelling. That's all it was. Yeah.
Did you have did someone on that show, because generally whenever I've had younger kids like either come onto Neighbours or anything else I've been on, you feel like this parental type thing. Was there anyone that took you under their wing during that period, or were you too much of a little shit to?
No, I mean, Jay Lagaya, who played Mufasa. You know, he's just, he was the actual dad on set. Like, he just gave that whole ensemble cast and crew, just, he was the father figure to everyone, and especially like the kids. He just had such a great energy on set every day, always so positive, always trying new things on stage too. So you didn't really know it was gonna come at you, you know.
That's good training.
Yeah, it was awesome. He was great. I miss him.
Did you ever get to catch up with him?
Really? No.
You should give him a call.
I know he joined Home and Away just after I left Home and Away, and so we had a few mutual friends because of that. But no, we didn't really stay in contact. I'm really bad at staying in contact with people.
Yeah, man. You haven't called me for ages. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, this is what.
Yeah, I know. But it's a two-way street always, and but also I think actors, you get used to like having those relationships where you have these super intense, like vulnerable relationships with each other, and then you don't for a while. But like, I don't know, I have heaps of friends who aren't actors as well who I haven't spoken to for 6 months. But if I call them, we'll do like 2 seconds of that, you know, the weather chat, and then we're straight into like quite deep conversation. And you just have that with some people too. I mean, because when we met, it was kind of weird too. Like we just sort of like assumed a friendship. There was I didn't feel like there was a testing period. It was just like, oh hey,
with who?
With you. Like we.
Oh, with me.
Yeah, like we met. I think it was at the Heat premiere or whatever. And I think you were with your dad, and then we ended up getting sushi after or something. And I don't know. It was just like as soon as we started chatting, it was like we're just talking like friends in a way.
I remember when we first met.
Oh wait, what was it?
It was at our management Christmas party.
Ah, that's what it was.
Yeah. That's what it was. I met you, and you were talking about how you were doing Macbeth.
No, it would have been Hamlet. Must have been Hamlet.
Hamlet, sorry. And you were saying how it got good reviews, and I was like, oh,
aren't I joking? Look how good my reviews were. What?
I was like, oh, cool. Anyway, I remember.
Clearly, you had a really crap impression of me then from that. Somehow you're still here. Though.
No, I didn't. I remember being like, oh.
Oh, you've frozen for a second. We lost Jordan for a second. Oh, wait, he's coming back. Are you back? Are you there? Wait, there you are. And I missed out on what you were saying that you thought of me. And that was like the epitome of like a cliffhanger.
I was just thinking, like, when I knew, I was like, wow, he's doing Hamlet, he's doing Shakespeare on stage. I was like, this dude means business, you know, like, you got to look out for this guy in the future, honestly. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, so this was a keeping your enemies closer type scenario. Is that what you were saying?
No, I was just like, this guy's he's gonna be a big actor one day.
Oh.
And you're killing it.
Oh, thank you, man. All right, so Lion King, you did like 2.5 years. You hadn't really trained beforehand, but you've gone, all right, I love this. This is pretty cool. I want to do more of this. What happened next? What did you do?
After Lion King, I went to one of the Simbas was he went to a dance school, and I wanted to like learn acrobatics, and they did acrobatics at this dance school. So I went there to do acrobatics class. I wanted to learn how to backflip, and then after doing acrobatics class, they're just like, you should do some hip hop, and you should do some like tap. And then slowly but surely, I was in like all the classes, and I just was obsessed with dancing. And then, yeah, after that, I joined an agency. At that point, I was just like, oh, I'm going to be a dancer when I grow up. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And then, got the agency, did a few commercials, and then I got an audition for Home and Away, and I got that job. I'm like, oh, okay.
This is all I have to do. I just have to get an audition, and then I get the role, and then I get paid, and I get to have fun on set. And what was the Home and Away audition like?
It was, it was interesting. Like, actor, he's a very introverted, very shy, very, I don't know. He had some emotional trauma, so I kind of just tried to be that character, and they saw something in me, I guess. And then I did a callback with the producer Cam Welsh, and he sort of talked me and directed me through the scene, and yeah, that was it. I got a call, and they told me I got it, and I'll never forget this. I went into his office, and we had a meeting with my parents and him, and he sort of talked me through what's going to happen. And I just remember the meeting being over, and he just goes, "Congratulations, your life's about to change." I'm like, "What? What do you mean? Why would you end like that?"
In a good way? A bad way? You didn't say.
Yeah, I just remember him saying, "Your life's about to change." Yeah. I was just like, "Oh gosh, okay." So yeah, that was an interesting.
It's such a power play by him in a way too, of being like, "I've just changed your life."
Yeah.
In a good
and
way.
I can take it away. Just as easily.
Man, and then so how old were you then?
I was 15.
15, and when you got the call saying you've got it, what was the reaction for you? Are you someone who like is, "Oh my god," or are you like, "Oh cool, that's awesome"? Like,
at the time I was pretty stoked. You know, facing my first rejection at 10 years old, and then
you had that dark experience. You didn't want that again.
Yeah. So I mean, I think just I don't really remember my reaction. I just remember I was stoked.
Yeah.
But honestly, my life did change like quite dramatically. I was taken out of school. I started homeschooling. I was working full time at the age of 15. I was acting, which I've never done really any training, like official training. And yeah, I don't know. That became sort of
what were you?
my passion.
How did you see acting then? Like when they gave you the script and what it had, like without like being told really what to do, like how did you approach that to become somebody else in that sense?
Well, I'm not sure because I never watched Home and Away. I watched TV. I think I actually watched Neighbours a lot.
Ah, very good, very good.
Yeah, I think I watched Neighbours, and I don't know. I think my younger self always wanted to be like a character. Like I think I wanted to be a part of an ensemble. Like I'm this character, you know, I'm this part of the story. And so I kind of just went with that. I kind of just went with, I just really had to use my imagination. You know what I mean? Crazy, right? Had to use my imagination to like do some acting. But really, when it comes down to it, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah. And I feel like you had this innate connection with the idea of telling a story, and because you'd mentioned it with Lion King as well, I was telling the story, so it became, well, how do I tell the story really? And that was being as this character and amongst this other people, and that's how I best do that bit, I guess, which is the best focus you can have as an actor, because it can become really sort of not self-involved in a negative way, but you focus on yourself a lot when really it's not about that. Ultimately, if you don't tell the story, no one cares whether you did a good performance, because no one got anything out of it for themselves. They go, you,
and I think it's
yay.
exactly. Like, I mean, I was very hard on myself. I'll never forget the first time I ever saw myself on TV, and my heart was beating like really loud, like loudly, and I was sweating, and I looked around, everyone's just like watching me. But I remember just panicking, like, what what is going on. It was I thought I was about to have a heart attack, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. When I went into it, I just sort of like and full disclosure, like at that age, unless you really know what you're doing, unless you've really trained, which I hadn't, I was just faking it till I made it.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? Like
Absolutely.
I was just like, this is what I think should. I think this is what acting is to me. But you mentioned role models, like people you could like look up to. The guy who in the show adopted me, he was like trained NIDA actor, Josh Kwong-tat, and he was just so much fun to be around, and he didn't take it like super seriously. Like he obviously was so trained and well seasoned at what he did. He could just have fun. He could play, and I'm so grateful that he was my, my on-screen dad. Like because he was the one that really taught me that we're just having fun. We're just playing. It's not serious. It's not all emotional and like we're just having fun. It's home and away. Like we're just.
Ooh, be frozen a little bit. He'll come back in a second.
Gosh darn it.
Go on, yeah, that's all good. It's Wait, is he back yet? I heard him for a second there.
I swear this never happens.
Here he is.
This is so embarrassing. This never happens. I promise.
You never freeze digitally on screen.
Yeah, this is so. I'm sure this never happens to me.
I feel like that's an excuse for something else, but I'm not going to go there.
No, I swear. I promise. This so embarrassing, though. I'm so sorry.
That's like the ideal kind of mentor that you want, and I think the one that I kind of try to, or as I get older, I guess on set, and then like at the moment we have a foster kid. I don't know why I did that. I did it because I guess my character has it rather than me. But like, you know, so there's a kid on set who's 15, so it's literally same age as you. I'm gonna get him to come on this because he's almost exactly like you, because he's portrayed Lion King for Harry Potter, so he was young Harry in the Cursed Child, the stage production of Harry Potter, right? Which is in Melbourne at the moment. Well, on hold at the moment, or whatever you call it.
What?
And then
That's awesome.
and did like a one or two other little things screen wise, but has come onto the show, and then he's our foster kid, and then me and Matt who plays my husband on the show, really just trying to make it fun. And the annoying thing is he's killing it, and he's like like this. He kind of knows that he's a little bit good at it, and I think part of the reason why he's good at it is because he's so relaxed, and he's confident that, not in an arrogant way, he's just confident to go, oh yeah, I know how I can remember my lines. And on shows like Home and Away or Neighbours, like within his like I think second week, we had some amendments come through which we didn't get copies of. So on the way walking from the green room to set to film a scene, he gets given like a chunk, like a parrot, like 3-4 sentences that he hadn't learned, and he looked at them. He didn't get flustered, and then by the time we were on set, he just knew them well enough that he could like go, oh no, I did, and then fix it or whatever. And like he's impressive little dude. I shouldn't say little dude, but it feels that way.
That's awesome. I mean, I've worked with some really young actors before, and like, I'm just like, wow, if I was that talented at your age, who knows where I'd be right now. But like, I mean, going into it, knowing that you were going to have a son on the show, was it, what did you think was going to happen? I mean, did you think like this was going to be sort of a new task for you? Well, not a task, but like sort of a new thing for you where you had to kind of bring things out of them emotionally and like, help them through the process that you're so seasoned at?
As the character David, for one sort of angle in your question, is like, I think the advantage of doing something like Neighbours or Home and Away where you're playing a long form character, and I started off as one thing and it constantly shifts and changes and evolves into something else. You kind of take it a scene at a time in my mind, so that you're so it's sort of like a natural evolution, and with becoming a dad in that sense, David's also figuring it out. He doesn't know, so you kind of do both at the same time. But as Takaya as the actor, I love actors and acting so much that I get excited by the possibility of having an impact on this Ezra's career, really. Not to make it about me in any way, but you like to be able to go, here's these little tips that no one ever tells you, or here's some things to think about, or when we're in a scene. And what was so great for us was we had Deborah Lee Finesse directing us at the start of this storyline, because she's got a connection with foster care and adoption, and so she kind of laid a real strong groundwork for us, where we actually had some rehearsals, which we don't have at all now anymore. But just the three of us being able to nut out some scenes and figure out what these relationships are and how best to navigate what is an unusual situation in terms of parenting of this foster care thing. So in the same way, it was sort of just continuing on her path of how do we look at these scenes? But he, it's a thing. He's so great that you don't have to do much, So
makes your job easier.
Yeah, we went straight to just like talking shit and paying each other out like real quick. There wasn't a whole lot of like, here's my helping hand, because he was just like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like he just takes stuff on. Like it's
wow, that's awesome.
He's a sponge, but in a way where like even the pressures of the situation, he goes, oh, we'll just do it. And I think he's got that thing of like, we're not doing brain surgery. Someone's life isn't in my hands. Like it's a pressure situation, and I've got to step up to it. But I can always go again. Always do another take. And also coming from Harry Potter, I mean, that's like I haven't seen it yet, but from what I hear, such a technical show with all the magic and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things you have to be really specific about. You can't be really loose. So I think he's proved to himself already that, when I have to hit that mark and do that thing and open my jacket and the thing pops out of it or whatever, I can do that and I won't mess up. So now he's just like, I get to have fun in this space because I don't have to worry about this cable that's connected to me and being flung in the wrong direction or something.
Yeah. And you get more than one take.
Yeah. The audience isn't watching every take, unlike on stage.
Man, that's awesome. And I mean, like, honestly, I think for me, growing up personally, like in this industry, compared to when you're in the industry at a very young age, I think when you're at a young age, you don't overthink things. You understand what's in front of you and what needs to be done. You don't overcomplicate it. We're not on set to get an Oscar. We're on set because we have to pay attention to what's right in front of us, and that's the scene. That's the person who's in front of you, who you're talking to, and it's simple. It should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So Home and Away, Dance Academy. How much space was between those two things?
They overlapped, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I got told that they weren't going to take my character any further on Home and Away, that's when obviously I was pretty devastated, but there was this audition that all my dance friends were talking about, and that was Dance Academy. And so while I was shooting Home and Away and finishing off my storyline, I was auditioning for Dance Academy, and I ended up booking that, and we started rehearsals at the same time as finishing off my storyline on Home and Away.
Wow.
So it wasn't a big gap.
So then, was that, how much of that was a dance audition? How much of that was an acting audition?
It was half. It was, my first tape for them was me doing ballet, and then they would bring us all in to do choreography, and then they would separate us and pair us up, and we would do the acting scenes.
And
so it was half.
Shooting that, because you'd only had this Home and Away experience, and Home and Away, like Neighbours, shoots quite quickly. Did it feel like, because you would have shot maybe one ep a week or whatever, Dance Academy? What was it like? Was that like did you find it more relaxed in that way, or did it feel just sort of the same in a different way?
I'm so sorry. That cut out a little bit.
What with the comparison between shooting Home and Away and shooting Dance Academy? Was it more relaxed because you were shooting a bit slower and that kind of stuff, or was it not? Did it feel?
It was more
Yeah.
relaxed. It was Home and Away. We were shooting an ep a day. We're shooting a whole ep a day. It might not be your whole ep, but it's the cycle. So they're really getting out 5 to 6 eps a week. Dance Academy, we were doing 1 ep a week. So I think they were taking more time with the shots. We were on location more. We weren't on like a 3-walled set with cameras that were planted on the ground that could just move very freely. It was more so we were having to deal with light. We were having to deal with crane shots, track shots, planes, all these different sort of elements. So it was a sort of a new process to me. But I was so used to working at such a fast pace on Home and Away that it allowed more time for me to concentrate on the acting and also learn about how they shoot things instead of when they shoot things on a 3-walled set. It's just very different.
Yeah, there's you guys like the Dance Academy group. You guys bonded pretty well on that. I feel like, and you've all beyond it done pretty well for each of you. It really was this, like, what's the word for it? This like oven or whatever, where all these like they really found some really talented people who've a lot of which have since gone on and are still working and still doing good stuff. Could you feel that on set? There was something special there?
I mean, for sure. Like, it was different for me because we were all around the same age. We all had a very sort of unique character. With Home and Away, I was the youngest. Me and Charlotte Best were the youngest people on set. So, and everybody else was like 18 and older. So they would bond outside of set. They would go to bars and they would hang out. And so for me, it was kind of like being the youngest. It was hard to, I guess not hard, but it was just a different feeling on set.
Yeah.
With Dance Academy, we were not just on set together. We were in rehearsal. We were very close because we had to do partner work. We had to lift. We had to trust each other. We had to honestly just trust each other that we weren't going to drop them on their heads. So there was a lot more time to bond and a lot more things to bond over. That and like we were all sort of stuck in one big green room. So we were very close. And I honestly, I would say from the auditions, we were close.
Yeah, right.
There was just something electric about being in the waiting rooms with these people. It wasn't competitive at all. I'd work with Tom on Home and Away. We'd literally come from set to that audition, which is really funny. We didn't know. And there was just something, the way we chatted and the way we sort of like bonding before actually being on the set was actually very special.
Yeah, it's
very cool.
That's super cool. And you've kind of like that period because you went on then with Better Man and then Camp came along. They were both like obviously Better Man Remy, who's killing it now too, and then Camp. There's a couple of the Dance Academy kids, but then like Charlotte as well, and like Lily Sullivan too, who are both doing amazing stuff at the moment. You've kind of like you really had. Because it is that kind of they could have been shows where you were working with people who now haven't done anything since or whatever, which doesn't necessarily make them bad or whatever. But there is something special about finding these energies and working with them, and you really kind of did get quite lucky in terms of that way of like a string of shows, which really allowed you to feel like you get that family kind of feel. You get that we're all working together, we're building this thing, and like it and having the fun of that too.
It was. I mean, you said it exactly. I was very, very lucky. having the relationships formed on Dance Academy, the relationships from home and away, I had a little community of actor friends, and I would call them my family because I was very, very close with them. Actually, so from there, we moved over to LA. A few of us moved over to LA around the same time. So moving to LA wasn't as daunting. It wasn't as lonesome as it could have been. It was actually very exciting because I got to go over with my friends and my family. And then booking camp was going back to Australia with my family, with my friends, and then extending the family with all, like, you know, as you said, Charlotte, Lily, you know, Charles Grounds, like everyone on that set. It was just, I was just, like you said, very lucky. It was, you know, I think the Dance Academy family really helped that family vibe. I think it sped up the process a lot quicker.
And what was the decision to move to LA like? Like, because you're pretty... How old were you then? You were in 19 or something.
Yeah, I was about 19, 20. I remember because it's 21 is the drinking age over there, over here. But it wasn't anything I ever thought about. Not during Helmet Away, not during Dance Academy. I didn't really think of the future. I was just kind of always there, always present. But Stephen Harmon, my manager, he set up a meeting with these American managers. They were scouting people. They scouted me and one of my other good friends, David Jones Roberts.
Yeah.
Connection really bad. I'm sorry.
Hold up a sec. I think the actual YouTube's... Oh wait, it's coming back now. The actual... I think that's probably on my end, not your end there. I think it's coming back now. I'll wait till it's... Yep. Yeah, and I think we're good now. I think... Let's see what... Everyone's just watching a frozen face at the moment. I think we're back.
Anyway, I'll just keep
talking.
Yeah,
keep talking. I think it's good. Yeah, so you, David Jones Roberts, been picked up by a manager in LA.
Yeah, so they actually came to Australia. We met with them, and after that meeting, they basically helped me get my visa. They helped me get an O1 visa, which means I can work in performing arts. It's about a 3-year visa. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I got my O1, and I was packing my bags, about to get on a flight. And I talked to Steve, and I was just like, yeah, this should be fun. This should be a fun experience. And he's just like, you know, you're going to like live there, right? I go, what do you mean? I'm just going to go for like a couple of weeks, like maybe a month or so, right? He's like, no, you're moving there. I go, I'm a 20-year-old Jordan being like, what? Like, what is going to happen? I'm about to get on a flight, and, you know, like, I'm meant to be living there now. Like, I'm going to be residing in LA. And, yeah, that was just a sort of a shocking moment for me, because I didn't actually think about it. Like, I didn't think, exactly, I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
So when I said I was processing it, I was like, okay, I'll just do what I've always done, which is take it a step at a time, and, you know, let's see if we can get some work over there.
Yeah. And how long did it take to feel like a home?
Oh man, it just felt like a crazy holiday, because, you know, if there's not auditions happening, then you're like hanging out with friends. You're sort of socializing, and you're sort of figuring out who you are. You know, like I was acting for so long. I was just like, oh, you know, I think this is a good time to just have some fun, not take anything too seriously. And yeah, I think it finally felt like home when I moved in with David. So we both got scouted. He moved over in December. I moved over in like January. And I just said like, hey, I've never before. Do you want a roommate? And he's like, yep, cool. We were roommates for about 4 years. And he's one of my best friends. Like he just helped me transition from my life in Australia to my life in LA. And man, I don't know where I'd be without him, honestly. But you know, slowly but surely, more and more of my friends and my family, the community, were moving over. So all of a sudden, everyone's over here, and we're just like acting like nothing's changed. We're just in LA.
Yeah, well, I've slept on your couch a couple of times, so
Yeah, and that was another beautiful thing. It's like I wanted, you know, Heath Ledger is one of my like inspirations, and he had like a house, like, you know, he bought a house and he just allowed friends to come in, and he allowed as a community to be there, because I understood very early on that LA can be a very lonesome place, and it can be very, you know, it's a jungle out here, and if you were to be by yourself, it can, I'd imagine it would be very depressing. And I talked to a few people who had moved out around the same time but didn't know anybody, and they're just like, I don't know, I don't think LA's for me. Like, it's just, yeah, it's a bit lonely. I was like, hey, come here, give me a hug. You can crash on my couch. You call me whenever. Like, I understood from an early age that community is so important, and we need it. We need to really band together. We need to stick together. So I would actually encourage people to sleep on my couch. I wouldn't encourage them to like live by themselves, and it just made so much more sense. Like, I wasn't as lonely, you weren't as lonely. Like, we just had a bit more family, and it just extended over time, and it's a huge community right now, and I'm very, very blessed.
yeah,
To have
you inadvertently taught me that too, because I'd come back here and I'd chat to other actors who were like, oh, I don't like LA. I mean, LA, you know, they'd say everything you kind of said, and I was like, because I had such a good time with you guys. Like, I went over and we'd known each other a little bit, and I lived in this. I don't know if you remember this, but I rented out. So I was only there for a week or two, and just do meetings, that kind of thing. I had rented this little unit thing off another friend, and then well, not off a friend, but a friend of a friend type thing, and then they got in like some domestic violence type scenario and needed like to come back to the place, and I was like, all right, you have the place. And so I just called you and Charlie up, and Charles Grounds I'd only met like, I don't know, like a month, or no, that week, and then and we just hung out, and then I was like, oh, I got nowhere to stay, and and you're like, yeah, come sleep on the couch, and so I came and slept on your couch.
Oh man.
And like, but it was that thing of like, I loved it because it was that community, like, and it was just like we're hanging out and it was just having a good time, and there was that, like, obviously why I'm doing this, I love talking to actors, like, it was just, you're in that vibe of just, and everyone's an actor or whatever, and especially with you guys as well, because things were exciting for you guys there, because stuff was happening, so that's infectious, and it was just this shared thing, like we can all enjoy everyone's doing well or whatever, and it didn't feel competitive. So that community aspect, like when I came back here and talked to people about it, I was like, it really just depends who you know over there and who you're surrounded by, with what experience you're going to have. Because if there's people like you, then let's just have a good time and enjoy each other, celebrate each other, and go from there, and not be like, because I think some people go over there and go, oh, I'm making this, I'm going to work, and I'm just going to be work, and it's a hard cycle, because when you're just getting faced with rejection, it could take a few years before something clicks. You can't not have that community. You can't go, I'm just going to be on my own, I'm just going to work hard, I'm going to take that thing of like, I'll be the hardest worker in the room type thing, which is a great thing to have, but also you've got to take care of, you know, the soul part of you, the social person in you, because if you don't, then it's super isolating.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, dude, I've seen people who have come over here and just stress themselves out and put so much pressure on acting, the industry, themselves, and it actually, like, it makes it worse. It doesn't help you. And we forget as actors, it's not just any job. It's like acting is something where you have to experience things in your own self in order to bring it into your work. It's in feed your soul so that you can bring it on set and you can bring it into the auditions. Oh man, it's a sad sight when people work themselves to death. You know, like when they just work themselves sick.
Yeah.
It's not how it works. It's not how it works.
It's one of the things on set whenever, like, if I drop a line, I'm starting to, like, get in my head about... Because as soon as you start to try to remember a line, you forget lines. And before calling action, if I've got that kind of... that part of my brain's turned on of, like, what's the line, or whatever it is, I go, why do you act? I go, well, because I enjoy it. It's fun. And I go, all right, well, then have fun. and then usually that just moves whichever bit of my brain's the loudest at that point into that fun zone a little bit. And then it's like, if that worry brain or worry voice, whatever comes in, it's like, no, keep having fun, you know, go to the side that you enjoy, because then it's freeing.
Exactly. It's meditation. It's focusing on the breath. It's always go back to the breath. Man, yeah, seriously, I love that we're doing this right now. It's great. I love it. I'm having fun. Another bit.
I'm super glad to hear that. So the I guess camp was sort of like, but it was shooting back here was kind of like your crossover show in a way into the LA. Like that was really the first thing that you booked that was American, even though it was shot here as like a co-pro thing. But then the Fosters was probably the one that's really like carried you through over there in a big way. Tell us a bit about that experience and like getting that show and what that felt like for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm blanking a little bit, but
what was that? Did you only ever audition for one role in the Fosters?
Yeah. I just remember I think it was the first job I booked out here. You know, the camp was the first American speaking job, but the first like on set experience I had. Yeah, I don't know. I just remember the character was kind of just spazzy. It was a lot of fun. It was a little comedic.
I watched your first step last night, by the way.
Oh, did
Season
you?
2, episode 2 for everyone at home. It's on Stan here, so I was able to watch it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was that audition process was interesting. I kind of went in and did this sort of like very enthusiastic character, which I think that's what the character was. And they really enjoyed it, but they also wanted to see the realness in it. Like they wanted to see it a little more toned down. So again, with the direct, they liked what I was doing. They liked my energy, and I think they liked me. But they just wanted to see if I was able to, you know, tone it down or bring it up, or, you know, they want at the moment at that time they wanted it to tone down and just like seem a little more realistic. But yeah, that was the first time I was on an American set, and that the catering was the size of this room, and another thing I remember was like, in Australia we don't have stand-ins. Like, you're in Australia, you'd cut and you just stand there and you just wait, and they would line up the next shot.
Move the
that's
lights,
what I was
all that
used
kind of
to.
stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was used to. And then I remember we finished the first take the first shot of this episode, season 2, episode 2. And this dude tapped me on the shoulder. I turn around. He's like, "Hey, man." I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, Good. I'm like, this is pretty exciting, isn't it? He goes, Yeah. You could sit down if you want. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You can sit down. Like, the chairs are over there." I'm like, what's going on? He's like, "I'm just standing." I'm like, "Bullshit." What? I could just stand next to the catering? What?
That's dangerous.
It felt wrong.
That's dangerous.
It felt wrong, but it felt so right. No, it felt weird. It was very weird, but it was very shocking. That was like I'll never forget that day.
Yeah, it's a great way
It
to
was,
employ more actors, though. Everyone gets a double essentially.
yeah, I mean the budgets are just far greater in LA. Like it, they have that sort of resources. It's very strange.
Yeah, it was so standards is one thing. Anything else that really stood out of you for you shooting on that set, with how it
I think
worked?
having my own trailer.
Do you like that experience? I mean, because you talked about green
No,
rooms and stuff, and
I hate
I
it.
love that too. I love being able to go into the green room, just chat with everybody else, and
Yeah,
break away from the set.
me too. I like going to a set, and it doesn't matter how you're feeling that day. People are gonna ask you how you doing, like what's up, and they're gonna they're gonna help you leave all that stuff at the door. Whereas when you're got your own trailer, you got a bathroom, like you don't actually need to leave the trailer. But I just leave the door open because that's opportunity, that's an experience waiting to happen. So I try and keep the door open as much as possible. It's just weird. It's just like you're just sort of like sitting there and you're kind of just thinking a lot and trying to go over your lines. I hate it
Yeah.
because I get too in my head. Um, that was another big thing. But just the scale of it in America, and being on like the Warner Brothers set, like being on that stage, that sound stage is like breathtaking. It's quite surreal. I just remember going to set every day and just being like, wow, this is awesome. This is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to have that experience myself one day.
It's soon. It's coming.
Yeah.
When are you coming back? Like, what's the plan for you?
At the moment, well, I've signed on. I don't think this is confidential at all. Signed up for another year for the middle of this year. Um,
Nice,
and
congrats.
then so that'll be my fifth year, which is thank you very much. Which isn't a amount of time that I thought I would stay on Neighbours, but I've been fortunate to have some storylines that have meant things to people. And
That's
like
important.
in that storytelling sense, I'm getting to tell stories that have an impact, and that's a really cool thing to be a
Mhm.
part of. Because on shows like this, it's not uncommon to have those super soap storylines, or just because there's so many cheating scandals and all that kind of stuff. It's really easy for a character to be in that place because that's just what the world is. A lot of that happens, but I've been very fortunate to have a character who has been a representative for a lot of people out there, and gone through experiences like coming out in the show, then being part of the first same-sex marriage on Australian television, and even just last year, like probably the biggest storyline was a kidney transplant thing. And the wonderful thing about Neighbours at the moment is that often in a show like this, that kidney transplant would be like, oh, his kidney's gone, and then the next day he's got a kidney, and oh, that wasn't that bad, he had to get a new kidney. But in soap world, it took over a month, and that's a long time. I got so many messages from people saying, I love that Neighbours is spending so much time and saying that it's actually really difficult, and I almost died a few times, and to wait for that kidney transplant, or any kind of transplant, it's a big ordeal. You never know when that phone's going to ring, you're going to get it. And so that's probably kept me there. Like, and I've said that to executive producer before. It's not a money thing for me. It's a storyline thing. If the storylines are there, then I'll stay, because I have confidence that when or if I leave, that I can work, because I worked before Neighbours, which is a confidence that I bring, which some other actors coming onto Neighbours don't have, because it's their first big role. So I've got enough confidence in myself that way to go that I don't need Neighbours in that way. I really like it. I'm having a lot of fun on set at the moment because the cast chemistry is really great at the moment. I love the people there. It comes to that community aspect too, which we both like. So whether I stay beyond 5 years, I don't know yet. We'll see. But I'm also looking at you guys, like you and Charlotte and stuff, and going, oh, that's like it's there's something so exciting about that, and just exploring new stuff, and
Yeah.
stepping onto a different kind of set and shooting at a different rate, or different speed, and meeting new people, starting those new relationships, and forming new families, and I mean, part of this as well now, trying to step out beyond the Neighbours cast and even the Home and Away people that I know, just to anyone other actors out there doing work. Part of that is just getting a bit of a taste of that, feeling a part of that broader community. So I don't know how much longer I will be on the show, because I'm ambitious too, you know, and ambitious just in the sense of wanting different experiences. The safety, I didn't get into acting to be safe and secure. I mean, you can't, like, there is no safety, there is no security in really any part of it. Hopefully you get to a level where roles roll on, but there's plenty of people who were in the 90s, the A-listers, who you haven't seen anything for ages, so that can disappear, and I understand that, but the want and the drive to keep doing stuff and keep doing bigger and better or different stuff is really strong. Like what drives you? What's the thing that keeps you pursuing? Because there's one thing to have fun doing it, and there's heaps of things that people have fun doing, but what keeps you in the game? And is it just what you know? I mean, is it as simple as that, or is there something inside you that feels like there's something bigger coming? Or
well, like you said, I mean, having an impact is probably one of the most important things, because there's nothing worse than walking off a set or watching something and it's just like what did that probably just was distracting people. I just felt like I distracted people.
But that's important too. Like escapism has a real benefit mentally for people as well.
For sure. I think I agree with that. And that's taken me some time to sort of understand, especially in the time of now where we kind of need TV and movies the most. But at the same time, like, for me personally right now, I'm just going through like I don't know how to word it, but just an interesting phase in, like, because you come out here and it's just about booking a job. It's about working. And for whatever, if it's, you know, ego or whatever, that you just want to be working, whatever it is. And then I think I'm at a point now where I want to do things that are personal to me. I want to find out what is personal to me. And I want work that's going to help me learn something new about myself, about somebody else, that's going to teach me a new skill, maybe like fighting or learning a new language, something that's going to be challenging. Because that's the dream, isn't it? Like, that we want the jobs to help, like, fuel, like, there's nothing better than a production being like, hey, we're going to give you, like, a fighting coach for the next 2 months, or like a personal trainer for the 2 months, and you're like, hell yeah, I can get paid for it. Like, that's amazing. But the level, it's like you're expanding who Jordan, like, your knowledge about the world and all that sort of stuff. So I think I'm also at a point in my career where I can be a little, if something's not really tickling my fancy, I like very well. I kind of you can choose where and so
you've got choice at the moment.
I have, it's not so much choice, it's more so, I guess it is choice. It's like more casting directors trust that I can deliver what they want. They know I can act, but I also,
And that's really it. It's that ability to
choose where I want to go.
Yeah, people know you don't have to keep proving that you're acting at this point, you know, or that you can act. You're at the point where it's like, well, no, like, everyone knows I can act. I can do this thing. I've proved that time and time again. Now it's now becoming, what do I want to act in, and what do I want to use this vehicle that I have? What do I want to say with that? And what stories do I want to tell? Because I think, like, what I always used to say before I'd really even done anything, I'd look at, like, you know, the Brad Pitts of the world, that upper echelon. You see so many of them go into philanthropic things, or often adopt heaps of kids and stuff like that. And I feel like part of it is that a large portion of actors have that drive to affect people, to make an impact. And especially in screen stuff, you get very removed from that. Social media actually helps in that way because there's a link with the audience that's more direct, and they can tell you whether you're affecting them. But prior to that, and if you're not on that, or at a certain level, you're getting way too many messages to be able to filter that. But there is that drive to want to feel like you're impacting, and when you have enough money to live for the rest of your life or whatever, it becomes like, well, how do I do that thing which actually, doctors every day are helping people, they're saving lives, and it's difficult to feel that way as an actor, even though mentally you're definitely doing that for people. Love being able to watch stuff, they love getting involved in your character and escape from themselves. So
it's fulfillment. It's like, I guess I'm at a point now where it's not enough to be working. Like, I want to be fulfilled and creatively, and I want fulfilled personally. And part of that is being able to impact people, like you are doing right now. Because, like you said, and I didn't mean to use the word distraction, but it's something that I was sort of like bugging over for a while. So, and to understand that, it does help. We might not know it, but it is helping, I cut you off. Sorry.
No. But that, no, you're right. And I didn't mean to jump on that you said distracting, but it is an important thing to remember as an actor, because it's hard to, and it's something that I think through the years of talking to actors, there's kind of two actors. I mean, there's way more than two kinds, but at least for what I'm about to say, there's two kind of actors. There's the ones who are a hard line in terms of the art form, and they're really, it's about the experience for them, and it becomes like a torturous experience to dive into this role and become someone else, and it's like they're having to physically and mentally alter themselves in kind of a painful way to achieve an end result, to be the thing, and they're really drawn to the heavy dramas that are very obvious in the lessons that they tell. Sometimes they seem less obvious, but I think sometimes when it's more entertaining, sometimes the lessons you don't perceive that you've learnt them because they're subtler or they're lighter in a way, whereas a lot of darker, heavy dramas, they can be, the moral is quite clear, even though the performances are more subtle in a way. And there's that kind of actor versus the one who's happy having fun and being entertaining. He's happy to do the action things, or the even things like Neighbours and Home and Away, that there's an understanding of like, no, I'm wanting to entertain, and through entertainment that you're giving a lot to people. To be like, there's a reason why storytelling exists or fictional storytelling exists versus non-fiction. If we just wanted to know stuff, we would just look at non-fiction stuff. The entertainment side is super important to storytelling, to his story. History, doesn't exist without the story because it's boring a lot of the time.
I hit on the head. I think when I was in the prime of like, oh, I'm going to take acting really seriously, and like I want those meaty roles, and I just want to like, as you say, like those torturous roles. I just want to dive right in and like just impress people, amaze people. I definitely went through that phase where I thought that's what acting was, because I mean, sometimes in this industry it is very ego based, and it is very soul crushing things happen. But the thing I've been trying to work on is like, what projects do I want to do that I'm going to have fun with, that I'm going to like enjoy being on set and not torture myself like that. It's been, and that sort of comes with like, well, what projects would I like to do? I've done a lot of drama. I've done some like scary things. I've done a lot of dancing things, and I enjoy all those things. But like, could you imagine being on like a sitcom, and it's just the point of being there is to make people laugh? Like, that's your job. Like, that's a pretty, like, that's an amazing thing. So,
and super
like,
challenging as an actor, because there's a lot of like, to make a joke work, it's a problem to be solved in a way.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And literally
So
just how
really,
you move your arm or something while you say a line can make all the difference, and that's kind of
yeah,
cool.
exactly. It's an art form, and I love learning. I mean, I haven't really done much comedy, but it's hard. It's tricky. Um, that's an art form in itself. But you know what? Like, I never really watched much TV growing up, and I never really a show and be like, I want to work like that.
Hmm.
I never really did that until quite recently, and so I've been sort of trying to explore what sort of shows I would like to be part of, so I can have an idea as to what direction to go in.
Hmm.
Have you watched New Girl?
I think I watched like the first 4 seasons or something with New Girl.
Yeah, I love New Girl.
Yeah, that's your
It's a
thing at the
great
moment.
show.
It's a great show.
At the moment, it's a few years ago, but I was just like, oh, if I could be on a New Girl set, like if I could be on the cast of New Girl, oh, that would be so much fun, I reckon.
Yeah, because that's that. Because it's not a pure sitcom in the sense of with a live audience, is it? It's yeah.
It's like,
So it's that good middle ground really, where you get to kind of
yeah,
you don't do
but
the
I also just
rehearsal.
love the humor.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous,
Yeah.
and they get to say ridiculous things, and it's just my kind of humor.
Yeah.
I think that's yeah. I think for being in the industry from such a young age and just doing the roles and just doing the characters that are sort of that you come upon, you sort of I didn't really dive into the world of like what are the projects that I want to do or like aspire to be in. So that's kind of working on right now currently.
Yeah, right. Because you
Yeah,
just worked, you didn't have that moment to sit where you went, "What do I want to do?" and then pursued that one thing. It was like, "Oh, I just did the job that came up next," kind of thing. So that's a really interesting experience.
I'm having a lot more time now to figure that out.
Well, you
Yeah.
kind of like because you said when you were a teenager, you decide, "Oh, I want to dance, I want to be a dancer," and then acting kind of just became the thing, and then you've kind of
Mhm.
wonderfully merged the two a few times. Obviously, Dance Academy is a big one, but was there a point where acting took the fall? Because ultimately it really has, in what you've done. Like, was there a conscious decision, or was it just like, well, I just kept getting work as an actor?
Yeah, I think I realized basically after season one of Dance Academy, in between that, I was just like, well, what am I going to do now? So I actually went back to, I did full time performing
Mm.
arts at Brent Street. So and I was mainly dancing. I don't know why I did it, but it just seemed right. And in that process of full time dancing, like taking it very seriously, I was like, I'm not that good at dancing. I'm not that good. But something I could feel within myself was that acting came a bit more
Mm.
naturally to me. And that playing characters was a lot more fun than being a backup dancer. Not saying that's all that dancing is. I'm just saying like dancing. I was just horrible at
You are
dancing.
definitely
Honestly,
not a horrible dancer. For everyone out there whose
I
self-esteem after
wasn't at the
looking at Jordan
level.
dancing and him saying he's horrible, don't let your self-esteem go down because he's not a horrible dancer by any means.
I guess I mean I just mean like dance. I wasn't going to be at the level that needed to be hit in order to be a professional dancer and make a living out of it.
And you want a bit of that spotlight too. You don't want to be in the chorus line. You want to be up the front. And there's nothing wrong with that,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. No, nothing wrong with it at all.
What were tell us a bit about like Bring It On and that experience because that's obviously a big franchise and that kind of stuff. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
what was that like? I mean, most of the because I looked up like interviews of you and stuff, and a lot of the stuff was mostly centered around
Oh
that. So
no.
obviously, there's like, yeah, was it fun? I mean, it seemed like a worldwide thing, which was a new thing for the franchise too.
Bring it on worldwide.
Mr.
That's what it was
Worldwide.
called. Mr. Worldwide. Um, that was a great experience. Um, that was the first job where I got a call and just like, hey, they want you for this thing. My
That's
first
cool.
offer. It was very cool. I was like, what is it? It's Bring It On. I'm like, interesting. And they're just like, they're like, it shoots in Cape Town. I'm like, sign me up. Always wanted to go to South Africa. I've always wanted to go to Cape Town, and I was gonna be on a film set over there. I was like, yeah, let's go. It was dancing. Like I got to play sort of actor that was similar to Christian. It was kind of like a street dancer, and kind of I was sort of like playing the love interest of the lead, and um, yeah, it was just a lot of fun. I got to meet a whole bunch of people from all over the world, a bunch of cheerleaders, and it was just like a really cool sort of experience.
Yeah.
Very special experience.
And Cheer's
Yeah.
insane. I watched that Netflix docuseries. I think it's just called Cheer. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
It's about
But I mean, I felt like I went through all of that throughout the shoot. It's crazy. Like what they do is insane.
insane, and how high the girls get thrown when they do the flying stuff. Man, that's wow. That's intense.
I was just like, you're not throwing me. I'll do some lifting. I might do a bit of catching, but you're not throwing me. It's very impressive what they
So
do.
impressive, and some of those guys are super strong. And that the year that came out, obviously, Dance Academy movie came out too. So you had two dance things, and then sitting in between that's Lady Bird, which, I mean, is a super cool production to have been involved in. Where did that come from? How did that come about?
I got an audition for it. I went in for the audition. I got a call back. I met Greta. And
What's she like?
yeah, she's awesome. She's like one of the coolest people in the world. I mean, I don't really know. I sort of went through a phase where like, and this happens when you go out for multiple auditions and don't hear anything back. You kind of just go into the audition, you attack it, you kill it, and then you walk out of the room and you forget about it. Like I just sort of trained myself to forget about it, and I'm not sure why I did that. I'm not sure if it's like, you know, making sure I don't have my hopes up for anything. But I think it's just like a level of like, you know, you're not going to get all of them. Like you shouldn't get your hopes up for any of them. You should just go in there and focus on what you got to do. But when I got the call that I got it, I was kind of like, wait, which one? It was a month. It was like a month or two after I did that audition for Greta. And I had completely forgotten about it. But when I remembered, I was like, no way. That's awesome. And I was super excited, but I was super nervous as well. It was Saoirse Ronan. Like, it's Greta Gerwig. Two powerhouses in the same film. Like, it was quite daunting going into that room.
What was that set like? Because I imagine it'd be, obviously you'd done some other films, but I feel like those films would have been shot more at quite a pace, whereas being like Lady Bird being such a full-on like drama in that sense, a drama film. Or were there big differences? Were there other things you noticed stepping onto that set?
I mean, I think on that set, they weren't playing by the rule books. It just seemed like Greta had this project that she cared very deeply about. She had an amazing connection with Saoirse, and all the other cast members. And it was a very personal story to her. So in each scene, she would sort of tell us what inspired her that wrote this scene, and like what in her sort of upbringing, sort of where this came from, like where these little moments sort of these props. She would play music from a little speaker of things that sort of inspired these scenes, and it was a very unique, very cool set to be on. And I don't think I'll ever have an experience like that because it's just so unique, so special.
And did you see that as like, did that become like I shouldn't say a challenge, but I guess a challenge and like it's something that you wanted to attack and like you wanted to step up to do, or did that feel intimidating, or both, really?
It was intimidating for sure. Like, I'm working with Trace. Timothy Chalamet was on set, like Beanie Field scene. Like the whole cast was just super super extraordinary. And it's all like they sort of had their own language because a lot of them have studied theater, and I had never studied theater, and so I think I tried a little too hard to be a little meta. Like I was trying to be, like my gothic character, and everyone's just like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm just like, "Leave me alone. I'm just trying to get into character," and I kind of like regret that because I wanted to be taken seriously, like they all have. They have so much. I have so much respect for them. I kind of wanted to be on their level, but I'm just naturally am not. They're just so. They just have more experience than I have, and they've been on more sets and whatever. But like, yeah, I kind of regret that I was so I took it so seriously and wasn't just enjoying the process of being there and being around such fantastic company and actors, you know.
Well, I think something that you can take from that from everybody else's perspective in that idea of not feeling like you're on their level. By doing that film, you are. Do you know what I mean? Like it's hard to recognize that at the time, but you are like, and that's a super cool thing, and that's it's a self perspective thing too.
It's a very cool thing, and you know, I learn a big like. Just because I don't feel like I'm on their level, I'm there. I earned that role. I deserve to be there. I was a very
Greta thinks you're on that level. Yeah.
Greta thinks I'm on that level. Can I show you something really cool?
Yeah, please. Now I've got to pretend to do a drum roll. This could go for a while. I don't want to do this the whole time. I hope you're enjoying
All
this.
Right.
Here he is. He's back.
Oh, let me just get... Oh.
I'm hoping this image will be clear enough for you to see it.
See this? It's a Screen Actors Guild nominated award for Lady Bird.
That's so cool.
And for so long when I received that, I just felt like I didn't deserve it. But this says otherwise. Like,
absolutely,
I did deserve that. And it took me a long time to understand that. I realized that. And I should be proud of it. And for the longest time...
Don't say should, say I am proud.
Yes, exactly. I am proud of it. It just took me a long time to realize that and understand how big of a deal it was. And it is a big deal.
Yeah. I remember Charlotte telling me about it, and I can tell you what, we were all effing proud, you know? Like, it's that, and still are.
Yeah,
I mean.
yeah. Charlotte's a big fan of Greta. And when I told her, she flipped out. She nearly hit me in the face. She nearly punched me.
I could see her doing that.
Yeah, but you know, it was a process that it is something that I had to learn for myself, and I don't regret. Regret is such a strong word. I don't regret.
I don't think it's a word we need to be afraid of, though. I think people are afraid of regretting things. It's like, you learn from regretting things, you know. You make a mistake, you don't not regret doing the thing. You learn something from it, but you don't not regret, like, climbing the tree and falling out of it. Like, it's, you know, it's part of it, but you can regret things, you know.
If I guess if I could go back in time and do it all again, I would do it a little differently. But I'm glad, I'm grateful for the lesson I learned from it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that you're going to have plenty more opportunities where you get to go, actually, no, I'm going to do this where I actually embrace this more than try to pretend to be something different to what you are, because what you are is what got you there, not
absolutely
what you imagined yourself as.
Yeah. Every set I've been on since that, I've told myself that I just have to, I can't take it so seriously, you know. It really is about doing the work. It's in pre-production and then being able to let it all go. But be on set and enjoy your company and learn things about other people, and don't be so sort of obsessed, I guess I was at the time. But yeah, that was a lesson I learned. I take it on set for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Light as a Feather, right? That's an LA's Finest for the last couple of things you've been working on.
Yeah.
light as a feather. Like we don't. I couldn't watch it here, but that looks pretty cool. Like a horror TV series, and but also well executed horror TV. It seems like it looks pretty scary. I mean, that's a you haven't really done that kind of thing before. What was that like? Lots of blood and stuff. I presume.
A lot of blood, lots of blood, lots of goo and black stuff. It was like it's about a curse, and it's this curse that's like that is in the form of a chrysalis, and the chrysalis grows on its chosen person, and basically starts killing those who get close to it, or who it's close around. So it was a very interesting project to be a part of. It was a lot of fun. Again, it was a lot of family vibes because I was working with people my own age.
Has the show finished, or have you finished on it? I guess maybe.
Yeah. So we did season 2, and then we didn't go into a season 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
And so then, what are you? Do you want to direct and produce and stuff in that idea of being able to choose your stories, or is it more about would you do that? I guess, but then, or is it more about trying to see what comes in and then curate that?
Yeah, this is sort of something I've been thinking about a lot. I do like writing. I'm not like a writer per se, but I write down ideas. I write down stories. I like directing, but I don't think it's something I would want to pursue professionally. I think if anything, it would be more so for myself, for self projects and for friends or something. Same with music videos. The producing is something I've been thinking about a lot more.
Being like a story producer, were you?
Yeah, someone who can like help push the story further, but without having, it's sort of overseeing a thing and making sure everything's working properly. And I like that. I like that sort of thing. Making sure everyone's working together smoothly and harmoniously. Like I like being that person in my personal life. So something I could see myself doing. The industry is a jungle, man. It's crazy out there. Being a part of it for so long, I've seen the good and the bad. I've seen the ups and the downs, and it can get really dark sometimes. Not in like a weird way. It's just like I've seen a side to the industry which I personally don't love, and I try and stay away from that sort of thing.
Is that the like what I've seen is gross a lot of time, that pure celebrityism type stuff, or what are you referring to?
Yeah, I've seen how people can gain success. And there's something in that just doesn't sit right with me. Because, I think if anyone can learn something about me from this chat, it's like, I love acting. I really love acting. The business side of it is a part of it. It's a necessary part, but it's also
it can be abused too, that business side.
Yeah, it can. It's not. It's something that I don't love about it, but it must be done. So it's about finding the balance, Yeah.
Do you reckon you found that balance for yourself? Or are you still trying to, it's constantly evolving, but
I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't think I found a balance. I think I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah. I have this conversation probably more than people would think with actors about like social media, and if we're talking about in that sort of business sense, and funnily enough, there's definitely a purpose aspect, and I think I naturally was inclined towards that early on with social media, or what I want to get out of it or put into it. One with like obviously doing the Dementia Australia stuff, which obviously I'm directly linked to with my mum, and then secondly doing this stuff too gives me, because I love doing this, and I think it provides a service to people. I think people really enjoy seeing us talk like this. I really hope so, at least. Let me know if you do. Don't say if you don't. And,
Hit that dislike button.
yeah, make sure you hit that dislike button if you didn't enjoy this chat. No, but like, those things, obviously the charity side of things, which I give probably more time to than people would think, because they only end up seeing the little videos and stuff. But those videos can take more effort than maybe what would be apparent. But then doing this as well gives me a purpose to give more than what I'm taking, because it can be a thing where you're putting out those images or whatever, and the images that get the most likes are going to be the ones that you're probably shirtless in, or you're it's the hot stuff, right? And even though you're giving people that, it feels like you're doing it with the purpose of taking back the likes or something, and that can be like really affecting in a negative way, because you start to then reduce who you are to that, because that's what you feel people want from you. And I feel like with this, I've taken more control for myself to be able to give myself the purpose or the direction I want to take, and be using my voice for something, and having a voice beyond just being an image. Yeah. To give people something more substantial, and maybe they won't watch it. There's plenty of people who won't watch these things because it's not their thing, and that's fine. But at least then I'm defining it, rather than following what people are defining for me purely by the amount of likes I get on something. And like, you know, the guy who plays my husband on the show, Maddie, he's like, he struggles because he's got a pretty decent sized social media following, but he struggles with that idea of purpose and whether he wants to stay on social media and that kind of stuff. And maybe I should be talking about him on his behalf, but I have chats with people about, you know, trying to shift your purpose on it, and feel and give yourself the feeling that you're giving something more than, you know, what is superficial. In that storytelling sense as well, we act, you know, we want to tell people stories, we want to communicate ideas, and I think actors struggle when they're reduced to an image rather than a story or an idea. I don't know, does that ring with you at all?
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I don't know if anybody follows me on here, but I haven't been posting as much, and that's because admittedly, I was addicted to social media. Like, I was addicted to the likes, I was addicted to gaining the followers, and I would do anything well, not anything. Wasn't gonna, like, I don't know, whatever.
And from my perspective, you never seem to have crossed the line with. I still saw Jordan, so just to give you that bit of confidence too, you know.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, that's the thing. I try to keep it as like authentic as possible. I would find myself being like, "Well, I need to post at this time, and I have to have a certain caption or whatever." And I was just like, "Oh, it's ridiculous," because I'm not even doing it. I don't even know what I'm doing it for anymore.
And you're a person, and I think actors are people that we get followers from work. We don't. If you're getting followers because you're an Instagram person, it's not because you're acting. And if it's meant to be supporting your acting, does it? You know?
Yeah, it's a fine balance. Like, there's been so many times where I'm just like, I want to delete Instagram right now. Like, I just want to get rid of my page altogether, because this is unnecessary. It's like a little bit too distracting for me, because we're going to have another can of worms here. But I don't even know where to start, honestly. Social media, I've taken a break from it. I haven't deleted it. I understand its importance. I understand it helps reach out to people and communicate ideas through that. I haven't posted much lately, and because of that, I've seen a decrease in followers. And at the beginning, it's very scary, because you're like, "Oh, I'm not interesting. I'm not smart. I'm not funny," or like all these things, all these negative things. Because followers are just choosing to unfollow you. But after a while, I've seen it decrease even more, and I'm becoming more and more okay with it. It was just taking up too much of my headspace. It was taking too much of my just my time in general. I was comparing myself to so many people. I was becoming very judgmental. And just taking a step back and from it, and not posting as much, not feeling the need to show people what I'm up to all the time, and not feeling the need to be funny, be interesting, be smart, like just taking that and making it a priority has given me so much more relief. It's given me a lot more time and energy to work on things that make me happy outside of, showing my face.
Like your deck, even though you put a little bit of that on your story and then didn't update us for ages because I was like, what happened to his deck? I really want to know about his deck.
You want to see my deck? I don't even know.
No, you don't. Yeah. It's gonna be too hard.
But I mean, yeah, there was this thing. I was just like, yeah, like people want to be updated and they want to like know what I'm up to all the time. They want to be a part of my story. I understand that, but I don't want to contribute. Like, I just don't feel the need to show everything anymore.
Well, you don't have to sell your soul. You're an actor. You play other people. You don't.
Yeah. What I've been doing is like Sunday catch up.
Oh yeah.
Not sure if you've seen that, but every Sunday, I will just like, because I like the memories. I like the memories that they're online somewhere, and that I can go back in time and like look at memories that happened 2-3 years ago, whatever. And so I'll do a Sunday catch up now. It's just random photos of my week.
That's awesome.
You know what? Yeah, I'm actually gonna do one right now. It's you. And everybody at home. Hi.
Oh, it's a video. You didn't tell me it's a video. Oh no, everyone in video. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I see. I was like,
but I don't know. I just realized it was very toxic for me personally, and the more and more of it, the more and more I like it. You know what I mean? I just don't feel any sort of pressure anymore, and I've learned new things in my time. Like I've been gardening, I've been doing a deck, built a deck.
That's why I loved, because I looked at your YouTube. I was like, oh, he's got a YouTube, which of course you do from your music. And then I was with Matt at the time. We were in the green room, and it was like you were following like Gardening Are Us and Architectural Digest. Like that was like your recent activity. And Matt was like, oh, he's my kind of guy. Because we sit in the green room just talking about the things we've been doing around our houses and like building, our backyards or gardens. And because he's got like a chicken coop. He now has like 6 chickens, 2 rabbits, a dog, a cat, and a beehive. And like he's just been building out the place he bought with like basically animals and like chicken coops and bee stuff and like.
That's the dream. Yeah. That's a dream.
Yeah.
And honestly, can I just like, I'll just finish like what I was gonna say. Yeah. With taking myself off social media a bit more, it has allowed me to figure out what else I'm interested in on it. And I found gardening. I love gardening now. Is that what people want to see? Probably not. I mean, maybe. Is it what the mainstream people want to see? Probably not. But it makes me happy, and I'm trying to figure out what makes me happy the most, so that I don't have to think when I'm posting. I can just be myself and not have to be like, oh, is this gonna offend anyone? Or is this funny? Is this smart enough? Like I can literally just be, and that's where I want to get at with social media. I just want to be someone that is so secure in themselves that they don't have to. They don't have to overthink anything.
Yeah, that's my hope that's where social media is going, because there's only so many topless people or bikini people you can follow before it just...
Is there?
Well...
I'm just kidding.
before it becomes... That's... you actually don't want to look at that all day, every single day, right? And I feel like my hope is, and obviously there's the fame chasing, and I think TikTok's feeling that part now where you can get 15 seconds of fame, or however many seconds TikTok is, really kind of easily. I mean, you can get a couple million views you don't need 100,000 followers to get something to be looked at a million times. You can have like 10 followers, and whatever reason however TikTok works, that fills that thing where people feel like they can get that instant bit of fame, and like, oh my God, I had that TikTok that went nuts. And then hopefully quickly realize you didn't actually have to do 5 years of work to build up Instagram to get a thing. They can quickly realize, oh, that's kind of empty, just that pure 2 million views and whatever that means. And it's not instantly like my life is fulfilled. Where I hope, and I feel like social media, especially probably Instagram, is heading is more to that genuine authenticity, because people like you, who have built a following through hard work, not on Instagram but elsewhere, and Instagram as well. I mean, there's work in that. It's not, you don't suddenly have pictures where you look really cool out of nowhere. You know, they come from somewhere. You've done something to get that. But I feel like I'm hoping, and I think The Rock is kind of an example of that, where he puts himself up there, and there's definitely a PR thing going on, but at least from the outside looking at it, it seems pretty genuine. He's just giving his authentic life, as amazing as it is, and he's obviously he's talked about but hasn't shown on Instagram everything that got him there in that way, but at least he's presenting, in my mind, a more authentic view of what he is and who he is, and trying to enrich the world, rather than he posts photos of him looking ripped, but that's because he's ripped, rather than he like my photo of my thing. I don't buy my product sometimes, but that's what you do when you.
He's also got like a big team that helps him with all that. Like,
absolutely,
he's got a team to shoot and everything, and I mean he does most of it, but like he understands like what it is. He understands what social media is, and he's not. Oh, he's The Rock, but he's not.
He's The Rock.
He's not making his value on social media. Like, he is not who he is because of social media.
But that's what I mean in terms of like I'm hoping that's a sign of the trend, that people are wanting to find people that are giving at least the impression of authenticity, rather than just pure aspiration. Like, be like me, because look how pretty I am in front of this beach or something, you know, like, I feel like that's got to get old. Obviously there's new people are obviously growing all the time. There's new people coming to social media because they're coming of age or whatever. But my hope is that the people are starting to go, actually, I want to follow people that have a stronger voice, in a way, who I can actually follow for their voice more than just because I like the way they look. Again, because I feel like there's heaps of people you can follow just for the looks, but it's harder to find those people with voices, and hopefully they become more valued or something. At least that's my thought. So that's where, actually, one of the things we were saying about the gardening, because Matt with his bees, I was like, well, to find the fulfillment side of things, it can be, why don't you teach people more about bees? Because they're super important, and they're dying at the moment, and there's something you can actually really help change there, you know? And gardening's the same way, you know? I was
exactly.
You posted those little root vegetable things, and now I was like, you should do the bok choy. And so then I took a photo the other day, because I put a couple in some water to show you, because they're like literally 2 days later they started spreading. I was like, see, you can do it.
You literally just put a bok choy in, but like bok choy, and like repurposing things,
making life out of what normally feels dead.
It's great. I love it.
All right, we've talked about a lot for a long time, much longer, but I've had too much fun, and I didn't really realize how long we'd been talking. I'll quickly, let's see if there's any questions. Favorite storyline from Home and Away that you enjoy?
Listening anymore?
You what? Yeah. Yes, there's people watching.
Is everybody just left?
No, there's
okay.
half a person still here. That's good.
I forgot. Oh man. Anyway. What are the questions?
Favorite storyline you did on Home and Away? Can you remember one?
My favorite storyline was when my character Jai thought he was invincible, and he would like climb buildings and jump off buildings. And there was an episode where like he was out to prove that he was invincible to people, And so he jumped off a cliff and then nearly died. And he was just like, I'm not invincible. And it was
That
just a lot
sounds
of
so
fun.
good. What I'm not sure if we've already explored this, but what has been your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome it? Like, I mean, it's hard to reduce your
Big
whole life to
question.
one big challenge somewhere, but
I mean, big challenge, big challenge. I think biggest challenge has been letting go of my ego. We're in an industry where it is very ego-based, and you need that confidence, but sometimes the confidence can get blurred, and understanding which is what. I think, that's been a difficult task for me, but I am working at it. Still, it's never ending, but it's understanding where it starts and understanding where you need to go is the leap of faith, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did that even make any sense? I don't even know.
It makes enough sense, I think.
Okay.
I mean, the egos are something we're constantly working at, because every time someone gives you a compliment, you've got to keep yourself in check, I think. And also, being Australians in America, I think that's a thing, because we attack confidence as much as we do arrogance, and we struggle with seeing the difference between confidence and arrogance, I feel. So I think when we go to America and you meet a lot of people who are really confident, and you're told to be more confident, it's an internal battle to go. And we kind of rather than being from a young age being able to figure out the difference between arrogance and confidence for ourselves and how we process that, we kind of have to figure it out at a later age, which, it's hard to learn things when you're older, I guess, and that becomes a bit more challenging. So, and it's a constant battle either way. It's a constant battle with ego, We talked a lot about you wanting to have stories that matter. Is there a story that matters in your head at the moment that you'd want to do? Like something that you've discovered that you're like, I'd love to make that or play that or represent that or something like that?
Yeah, well, an idea that I've been sort of writing about has been sort of my experience growing up it's a very dramatic version. It's like not really my version, but it's to do with getting fame at a very young age, and something to do with that. I think Honey Boy from Shia LaBeouf kind of tapped into that, but
what's your version of it?
Yeah, becoming famous very quickly, and you understand what being famous is. Like, everybody has a different perception on it, but when you're young, you have no idea. And when someone tells you your life's about to change, you're like, what does that entail?
It's not only when you're young, it's when you're like people who haven't experienced any of it. I think it's something you can't really understand unless you have some taste of.
I just think it's different. For me personally, it was just the age thing.
It's a huge thing to take on at that age.
Yeah,
I mean, you're probably
just to go to a shopping center and people know your face
and think that they know you,
and how that affects you psychologically, and how you grow up with that. You kind of grow up with feeling like you're always noticed, or you're always recognizable.
Always having to be on because of that too.
Yeah.
And then because you're always doing that, you sort of become that, and then it's like, is that who I am?
Yeah. So something about that. I don't know. I haven't really given that much thought. I like to do some action.
Be fun.
I like to do
Fun
some
stuff
comedy.
Too.
Yeah.
Did Maya know you from Home and Away?
Maya Mitchell?
Yeah. This is one of the questions.
She didn't know me from Home and Away, we had mutual friends, and it was the first LA trip we did. She lived up the road. We had mutual friends, and we hung out heaps. And that was the year before she booked Foster's season 1. And then when I came back, I booked season 2, and then we reunited.
She's great in that too. Well, in the one episode I saw last night.
She's so amazing in that show. She's incredible.
Do you miss anything about Australia specifically? Apart from family? I mean, that's the obvious one.
Yeah, definitely. I do. I miss it all. I get homesick a lot because I do feel like I have a lot of family here. But Australia just reminds me of like growing up and everything's being very exciting, and it's so beautiful. Australia is just like one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and to grow up in Sydney it's a blessing. It really is. And growing up there, I took it for granted. But now I'm grateful that I grew up there.
Is LA now your home? Are you staying there? I mean, have you and Marissa talked about it? Would you come back here?
Well, I bought a house, and so now
to build your deck
to build my deck.
You really wanted
that
the deck, but you bought the house to get.
Yes, but I needed the house first, so
it's annoying how that works.
But really, like, when I think back to the day where I flew over to LA and was just like, I'm going to go over there for a couple of weeks, and it turns out to be 6 years. With the house and having the house is really planted me here. It's like really planted me in the ground, and I'm also going for my green card. So I plan to be here for the next 10 years. Like, that's kind of the plan.
Yeah.
Obviously things change, but I really like my life here, like my lifestyle, like my friends. I miss the hell out of my friends back home. I miss my family, but this is just sort of like where I'm at right now, and I'm just trying to embrace it for what it is. What was the question?
Whether LA is your forever home in a way, you answered that. So
yeah, it's not my forever home. I mean, I don't want to raise kids here, but who knows? For the next 10 years, who knows? Yeah.
No, that's cool. I'm excited to see your house there. And come.
Why I brought that up is because, like, I moved over here, and if acting didn't go well, I would just go back to Australia. I'd just go back home. I'd just leave the apartment I was renting, and I'd just leave. With this house, it's like, oh, I'm gonna be here for a while. There is no I'm going for it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. There's
I just drop everything. I have a house now. I have like a lifestyle that I really.
It's a bigger decision than just buying a house. It's also forming some kind of permanence there.
Yes, it's making a direct decision that, like, for the next 10 years, I'm committing my life to like being here and acting, and that's just a big thing for me right now.
And to finish off, what about the music? Is that something that you've let sort of drop away a bit, or is it something you're still working on? What's the...
Yeah, music's always been a passion of mine. It's always been in the family. When I moved over here, I wrote my first song in my first apartment, and I had always wanted to like play gigs, so I went out and did some free gigs at bars and whatever, and I loved it. It taught me a lot about myself, a lot about my performing, and then people were like, oh, you should like record, you should like be a singer or whatever, and then I started taking it seriously, and that's when the passion sort of died out. And I realized, I don't want to take it seriously. I want it to be a hobby, So I just have my guitar in my room. You can't see it. It's over there somewhere.
Yeah, I can see it.
I just have my music corner, and I just play music for me now. It's just for me, and I much prefer it that way.
Yeah. I think that's one thing where we're in a passionate career where we're doing what we love, so we feel like we need to turn everything we love into part of our career. When actually you just want some stuff that is just something you love for yourself, because we all need that, I think. So that's really cool, man.
Absolutely. I think and if you start listening to people, they'll be like, "Oh, you're really good at that. You should like take it seriously." And like, you know, you can make some serious money off it. And you listen to those people and you're just like, okay. But then when you realize like you said, some things just need to stay personal. And
well, you do take it seriously, but it's just taking it serious for you, and that's okay too. And it comes down to that social media thing too, of like, it comes this feeling like I've got to share everything. It's like, everyone always has to know everything about me, and then when I go out, they'll all know everything about me, and then you can suddenly be looked at by everyone, and everyone knows everything about you, and you're like, what's there for me? You know, like,
yes,
I want something for me, damn it, all right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I love it. I love music still. It's still there.
Cool.
It's just not as public.
Well, we have talked for I don't even have a time it going. I don't know how long's it been. Over 2 hours now. So thank you, man. That's so good.
I was like, an hour? What am I going to talk about for an hour?
Oh, dude, I could keep talking to you for so long.
Yeah.
And I
likewise, man. Really appreciate what you're doing and helping people out, and you know, and just in everything you do. Like, yeah, I appreciate it, and I know a lot of people do. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you, man. I'm super proud of you, but I also am completely inspired by you too. Even though you're younger than me, but that's all right.
That's so funny.
No, always looking up to you. And so thanks for coming on.
I don't even know how old you are, honestly.
It doesn't matter. I played 15 like 2 years ago.
You're always going to be a brother to me. Okay. Nice. Yeah. And then whenever you're back in LA, whenever everything sort of calms down a little bit, come on over. You can check out the deck. You can check out the veggie garden.
I really only want to see the deck. I don't care about seeing you. I just want to see the deck.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair enough. It's a pretty cool deck. Yeah.
All right. We'll stay online, but thanks for joining me, man.
All right. Appreciate it. See you, everyone.
Well, how was that? John Rodriguez, such a legend. I'm so happy that I have had the opportunity to meet him, know him, call him a friend. I do love him dearly. And I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, do the thing with the like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Share this with your friends. Because that's really why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for you. So if you like it, let me know. Let your friends know. That'd be cool. Otherwise, we'll be doing one next week. I may have someone in mind. I may not, but I think I do. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a good day, sleep, wherever time you are. We're in 3 different time zones at the moment, so it's a bit of a mental, which is why it's early morning for me. But I will see you all next time. Much love. Peace. Bye.